Season 2, Episode 1. The camera tilts up to reveal a fight in the snow. Shots are varied and seemingly unconnected. Suddenly the scene is out at sea, and next on the beach. And Ardoni, the tide singer, leans over to the edge of a pier, fishing rod in hand. Then cuts to the grand tournament and the Death Singer's denial. Then things begin to pick up and get more intense as he slays the three masters and confronts the fourth, where the tide singer suddenly intervenes. Shows them fighting briefly on the mountain as seen at the end of episode 1, then the Death Singer going through the portal and coming out to the other side, just as the last season ended. Hideon Mendoras is frozen in disbelief while Zulius Galtaris fires his offensive song. The Death Singer evades to the side and begins sprinting towards them. He quickly kills Zulius Galtaris and lets the body fall to the ground. The Death Singer looks up to see Hideon, still surprised at his appearance.
Oh, believe me, I am as surprised as you are.
Death Singer, I should have known you were responsible for this sinister plot.
You're right. You should have known.
The Death Singer charges forward and quickly kills Hideon. In the background, the other Voltaras are killing the last of the other Ardoni. The Death Singer turns towards Tigran and Lucidius.
How long has it been?
154 years, Ingressus.
You had 154 years to prepare, and yet still I return to a battle?
Lucidius looks down, ashamed.
Where are my prime songs?
Thalius Sendaris moved them before we could attack, but we...
You don't have them?
No, sir. But we may know where one is.
You may know where one is?
The Death Singer glares at Lucidius, who looks down in fear.
Have you at least prevented the Endonites' return?
No Endonites have appeared since the Great War. However, we were unable to retrieve the remaining Ender Dragon eggs.
And Achillean?
We heard you killed him before entering the portal.
Finally, some good news. Come! We have much work to do, and not a moment to waste.
A sound from the portal can be heard. The Death Singer turns around and sees the portal closing, and then close entirely. He turns and heads towards an outcrop. The Death Singer stands upon the cliff face and looks out over the world. Title text. Camera raises up over the floating mountains of Adarexia. Text appears saying, 6 months later. Uplifting music is playing and the sound of wooden swords hitting can be heard. Gallius and Sen are seen training with wooden swords.
Good, Sen. Good.
Sen stands sideways and they continue practicing. Gallius strikes Sen on the back and he falls down.
But not good enough.
With time and training, I will teach you as I have taught others. Now, back on your feet.
Sen gets back up, more montaging. Training includes sparring, blacksmithing, balancing, studying in the library, running, blindfolded challenges and more. Between training he repeatedly gazes up at the shrine above Adarexia, where the Ardoni wield their songs.
When will you teach me to wield my song, Gallius?
When you are ready.
Sen stops fighting to discuss.
We began training 6 months ago. The Voltaris could attack and I need my song.
Why do you wish to learn your song?
Because we have the unique ability to harness their power. To deny their usage is to deny the very
thing that makes us Ardoni!
Gallius looks surprised and suddenly sees Thalius in front of him as Sen's voice fades to Thalius shouting angrily. Thalius activates his shockwave song and Gallius snaps back to reality as Sen hits him with the wooden sword. Gallius appears frozen and worried. Sen is confused at having easily hit Gallius and not having him even react.
That is enough sparring for now. Practice your balance. We will reconvene at sundown.
Gallius walks off quickly and Sen still looks very surprised. The mood has shifted and the music has transitioned from the uplifting montage music to something more somber and mysterious. Sen climbs up onto the balancing pole as Gallius heads back inside the blacksmith and sits down and sighs. He begins sorting through some papers on his desk. A thump is heard from outside and Sen can be seen climbing back onto the pole after having fallen off. Gallius looks at the next sheet of paper and his eyes widen as he reads it. He pockets the paper and begins heading up to the aviary. Upon arriving, he calls out,
Merlin, I have a message that needs sending.
Nothing but the sound of birds can be heard.
Merlin, this is important business.
Merlin's voice can be heard from off-camera as Gallius looks up into a tree. It is unclear who Merlin is at this time.
Aha!
Finally something worthy of my time.
Cuts to nighttime. A few bandits are sneaking through Heavenshire. One of them is carrying a heavy chest carefully. Cuts a bit back further down the path. A lone figure is following them. Occasionally, shells of dark objects can be seen passing overhead between the treetops, and once in front of the moon. A few of the bandits have moved ahead and arrive at a small boat dock on the river. The first squats down and begins untying the boat, while the others turn around to guard, torch drawn. We see that he is from the Unyielding Legion group, the same Jalkar was in. I hate these night missions, can't see a thing. Suddenly a dark figure swoops past and throws the squatting person into the water with a splash. The others turn around, sword drawn. Jensen? Something swoops down from behind and it cuts away. The remaining Unyielding Legionnaires are nearing the boat dock, Jess still with them. Suddenly, a whistling is heard, and one of them is struck by an arrow and falls over dead. They turn and see Abigail behind them, bow drawn, as she fires another arrow. One of the Legionnaires steps in front and blocks it with his shield. Abigail draws her sword and charges. The chest carrier sets the chest down and charges at Abigail. They fight briefly, but Abigail kills him fairly quickly and begins fighting the second. During the fight, a sword slashes the chest and slightly cuts the gas in it, allowing some eerie mysterious light to glow out. Abigail and the Legionnaire have a balanced fight for a bit, each showing skill with their swords. But the Legionnaire gets the upper hand and bashes Abigail backwards a bit with his shield. I'm beginning to grow tired of all the trouble you've been causing us, girl.
I'm just getting started.
You're out of your league.
I've been told that before.
Should have listened.
It's not my strongest suit.
I can see that. Suddenly, figures begin appearing in the wilderness nearby, surrounding Abigail. She backs up a bit and draws her bow, preparing to fire on any that move. The Unyielding Legion works together, yet you work alone. The dark figure flies out of the sky and lands beside Abigail with an extremely loud thud. The figure is revealed as Luna, who is now much larger, the size of a full-grown horse. An arrow flies towards Abigail, but Luna puts her wings in the way, which deflects the arrow. Abigail fires back and kills him, and draws her sword as some of them charge forward. Luna charges into the midst and begins attacking them as well, using her tail a lot to bash people away. She singles one off, raises her head high, and attempts to let out a burst of flames. But only a few sparks come out. The person looks down at the twinkling embers, confused as to what happened, and charges Luna. Abigail re-engages the mysterious Legionnaire. In the background, Luna can be seen being chased by the soldier. Luna then goes over to a nearby torch on a post and breaks the post off the ground and turns around wielding it. Back to Abigail fighting. We see Luna chasing away the soldier with the torch. The mysterious Legionnaire backs up as another fighter engages Abigail, and then he picks up the chest and hurries for the docks, leaving behind a faint trail of glowing particles escaping the cut in the chest. Luna accidentally brushes her torch up against a small barn and it catches fire. She looks back at it, surprised that the fire is quickly spreading. She attempts to fan out the fire with her wings, but it only gets worse. The mysterious Legionnaire gets to the boat with the chest in hand, where an arrow hits nearby. He turns to see Abigail on the pier, in front of her. Now I understand why you're so interested in this chest.
I don't care what's in the box. I want information. Anything that can be used to destroy the Unyielding Legion.
I'm not in a mood to talk.
Tell me what I want, or I'll have my dragon bite your head off.
Abigail turns to see Luna running off with a bucket of water to put out the fire on the barn, which is spread extensively now.
Well, when she comes back, she's going to bite your head off.
Luna turns and shakes her head no in the background. I'll be the one gathering information. Now we know you have a dragon. He throws the chest at Abigail suddenly, which catches her off guard. By the time she recovers, he has already hopped onto the boat and pushed off. She runs towards the boat, then stops, as she's distracted by what just fell out of the now open chest. A small glowing eye of the end hovers out and away. When she turns back to the boat, it's already a distance down the river. She draws a bow and fires a few shots, which hit the boat harmlessly. Suddenly Luna comes up beside her and lights one of her arrows. Abigail smiles and then fires the flaming arrow towards the boat. The Legionnaire steps on the shield which is on the deck of the boat and it flips up into his hand just in time to block the flaming arrow. He then throws it down in the water to let it fizzle out. Luna's eyes are wide in amazement, but Abigail is frustrated. When seeing Luna, Luna pretends to act frustrated as well. Abigail turns and goes back to the eye of the end, which is hovering some distance off. She reaches for it, but it moves away a bit, so she has to lean further to grab it. A slow beating sound is heard, common of Ender objects. The beating sound fades to the beat of war drums as the camera cuts to a shot moving quickly over water elsewhere sometime the next day. It is cloudy. The camera tilts up, revealing the jungles of Felden, and there's a battle raging between the soldiers of Felden and the necromancers controlled undead. Lucan walks into the shot and holds his sword and kills a few nearby zombies. Kiyoshi arrives with his halberd and kills some more. They clear the outside of Fort Zuka and regroup. Kiyoshi's a bit agitated because they may be suffering a loss if they can't retake the fort quickly.
Fort Zuka is too valuable to fall into the hands of the necromancers. We can't let the undead make it away with those weapons and supplies.
So, whose idea was it to build walls if they could just tunnel underneath?
Well, most enemies don't travel underground with an army of undead. Do they, Lucan?
Kiyoshi looks up.
Is she going to follow us to every battle?
Kiyoshi raises an arm in defeat. Lucan turns around to see Nika poised in a nearby tree.
Nika!
I saw the Necrolord inside the fort. He's using the staff to control the undead. If I can get in there and retrieve it...
And if you fail? What then? You'll just scare them off. We need to attack all at once without giving them time to flee.
I don't take orders from you, Kiyoshi.
Nika leaps off the tree onto a vine on the wall and scales up the edge. Before going over the top, she turns back and smiles at Lucan, then disappears. Lucan looks after where she disappeared when Kiyoshi grabs him.
Your friend better not mess this up for us. Come on, to the front gate, let's go. Everybody, let's go!
Kiyoshi's forces move to the front gate, preparing to force their way in. Cut to the desert, city of Meridian. Camera moves towards the docks. It shows the pier as people hop off a boat. Each of them land on the wood with a small thump. Suddenly heavy feet land with a much louder thump. The camera tilts up to reveal Igneous. He smiles and looks around, then walks off. Cut to him walking through the city streets. Everyone is looking at him suspiciously since he's a Magnerite in Cydonia. He approaches the doorway with some sign overhead indicating the Fletcher and knocks on the inside as he enters. Well, look at you! Where'd they mine you up? Does this mountain have a name? Igneous is a bit startled, but responds all the same.
My name's Igneous. I'm here for Aaron.
Aaron leans against the wall and acts uninterested. Some people call me Aaron, others call me the Fletcher. Those who dislike me find other clever titles. Aaron looks back up to Igneous and asks him more comfortably. What do you want?
Gallius sent me. He told me...
Gallius is still alive. He must be older than the walls of time by now. But, go on. Why did Gallius send you all the way down here, huh? Igneous seems to be losing patience and speaks a bit more firmly.
I need to get into Carthan.
Aaron goes and sits down at the table. Oh, yes, that's a good idea. You should also visit the Nether when you're done. What are you trying to do, get yourself killed? Aaron goes and sits down at the table. Even if I wanted to hike across the endless dunes of Cydonia and somehow smuggle you into Carthan, I'm going to need a lot more than Gallius' word as compensation. Igneous sets gold ingots on the table which land with a small clang. Aaron looks up and smiles. Got a montage of Igneous and Aaron traveling across the deserts of Cydonia, heading north towards Carthan. They stop through a town on their way. Cuts to the forest, Merlin flying above the trees. Camera moves down into the forest. Abigail and Luna are walking through the wilderness.
I appreciate the help, Luna, but I really wish you wouldn't show yourself.
Luna makes some gesture with her wings.
Subtle? How was that subtle?
She makes another motion.
Subtle? How was that subtle?
Luna shakes her head and waves it off.
You burned down a barn!
Luna shakes her head again and then flies off a bit.
Okay, fine. You burned down an empty barn. You still showed yourself clearly. Soon everyone's gonna know there's a dragon in the wild.
She pulls out the Eye of the End, unsure of what it does. Suddenly a bird lands nearby. Abigail looks over at it when it suddenly speaks.
Greetings!
Whoa!
Abigail stumbles back.
I beg your pardon, madam. Would you happen to be Abigail?
Yeah, that's me. Are you a messenger bird?
Messenger bird is such a crude term, madam. I'm a highly certified communications emissary, not some...
Merlin shrieks as Luna leaps over and tries to playfully bite Merlin.
Luna! Behave yourself!
Luna sits down and looks innocently over at Abigail.
What is that beast?
Her name is Luna. She won't eat you, I promise. Isn't that right?
Luna nods. Merlin flies over to the pond and looks at his reflection.
Yes, well, I do wish I had been properly warned of this before. Now you've gone and ruffled my feathers.
Merlin composes himself and flies back towards Abigail, this time keeping his distance from Luna.
However, I haven't got a moment to spare. Listen carefully, as my time is valuable, and thus I'm only saying this once.
Camera backs up to out of earshot. The message cannot be heard. Cuts back to Ataraxia. Sen is upright in bed looking at his song. Slight hum emanates from the song. Galus comes into the room and Sen quickly hides it.
Come, Sen. Walk with me.
Peaceful, quiet music plays as Galus and Sen are walking through Ataraxia at night as the breeze blows slightly and the crickets chirp.
Sen, I have not been entirely forthcoming with you. I have let my feelings cloud my judgment, and thus hindered your training. For that, I apologize.
Gallius, you have nothing to apologize for. I've learned so much from you.
Gallius smiles at the compliment as they walk out into a small park area with a stream.
It has always been my privilege and joy to teach others what I know, but I am afraid that our training may be coming to an end.
How do you mean?
I have not used a song in nearly 200 years. I cannot and will not train you to wield yours.
He pulls out a song, the same song that had been sitting on the shelf since Sen first arrived in Ataraxia.
This is the only one I have left. I gave all the others away.
Why?
Because we do not need them. Songs give us power, but they also take from us in return. In most ways, we do not see. Show me your song.
Sen hesitates and pulls out his song and holds it up. Galus continues holding his, and both glowing songs can be seen clearly in the dark night lighting.
A Particium song. I figured Thalius would have given you such. This song will protect you in some way. But you must remember, it is not infallible. It will not always save you. You cannot let it control you.
Gallius puts his song away, and Sen does likewise.
If you are not to train me with my song, then who will?
I have called upon a former student of mine. On the third sunrise from now, you will journey to the shrine above Ataraxia and meet your new instructor.
Camera turns up towards the moon, which fades back to a sun over Valora. Back inside Fort Zuka, Naker drops down and assassinates a few undead and necromancers. She spawns the Necrolord heading towards the forge. She sneaks towards it and peers in. She steps inside, but no one is there. She turns around and the Necrolord is standing in the doorway, a few undead surrounding. Nika gasps and jumps back, weapon at the ready. The Necrolord speaks as he walks towards her, head down at an angle, stroking his staff.
You must be Nika. I've been looking forward to this opportunity for a very long time now.
The Necrolord rolls a Witherhead into the room, which explodes and clouds Nika in a mysterious black smoke. She tries to brush it off as she panics. The Necrolord holds up his staff.
Just relax, my dear. Look into my eyes.
Nika looks up and the camera slowly focuses on the Witherhead as everything else fades out. An eerie drone rises and then cuts out as the screen turns black. To be continued.